Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, well, the labor market not particularly strong right now, although there are some good places. A local journalist gets a big nomination, and we talk about the newest member of the battalion a little further. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrooks. Two new positive results for COVID-19 testing in the area governed by the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. As we go to the board for this Wednesday, 195 tests were done. Two new cases, bringing us to 29 total. 26 have been resolved. One fatality, one in hospital, and one in self-isolation. Well, as we said off the top, the labor front has taken an enormous hit the last 3 months. And while lately there has been a little relief in regards to jobless numbers, a long journey to regular employment levels remains. Joining us via Skype, Stacey Fiddler of the Labor Market Group.
The thing that jumps out for me is obviously we're smaller, we're more rural. We have more reliance on small and medium-sized businesses, unlike large urban centers in our country. So the effects are felt much greater. We have a high, obviously, tourism industry, retail industry, which has really been affected, unlike some other areas of the country. So that's what jumps out at me for sure, is thinking about our small and medium-sized businesses.
Are there any stories from the labor front that are positive during the pandemic?
There are some positive ones, obviously. There are some industries that are hiring that have ramped up. Obviously, those that were deemed emergency were still going very strong and have continued throughout the last couple of months. Other industries such as, retail in terms of grocery stores, security companies, those types of industries have really ramped up as well for obvious reasons. So there is some good, some silver lining. A lot of home renovating companies, for example, windows and doors and sidings and roofers, they've been busier than ever before. Some of them have been telling me. So it's indicative of the situation. I mean, a lot of people are at homes. Those folks that were fortunate enough to continue working full time have a little bit more time on their hands. Maybe some home renovation projects that have been put off are now sort of on the forefront and whatnot. So those businesses are thriving.
And I do want to ask you a question as a mom of two. You're doing double duty now because a lot of parents are teaching their kids from home. How much of a challenge is that for you?
It's been extremely challenging. Like many other families, I'm sure we're all trying to make the most of the situation, and we've adapted a lot. Just trying to keep the kids busy and occupied while you're still working full time. And I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure I'm not alone, but it's been very challenging.
Finally, I wanted to ask you this question. It's about sustainability and surviving. Businesses cannot be shut down forever and not face the risk of closure. And people can't be out of work forever. The government cannot keep handing out money. Where's the drop deadline in this?
That's a great question, Craig. I really don't know. Our role is just to sort of continue to monitor the trends and what's happening with our local community, ensure that people still realize that if they are looking for work, there are places that they can go to access employment, including our local employment agencies. What the provincial government decides to do and when is a complete guess at this point. And like I said, we're just trying to work with our local businesses and our local job seekers to make sure that if they are interested in working and keeping their doors open, that we're there to help them.
Ontario's emergency order is staying in place until the end of June. Now, regional openings could happen, but not one specific area is going to be open just yet. And no one really knows when that's going to happen, not even the government of Ontario. To talk about this in further depth, we welcome the return of Chamber President and CEO Peter Chirico.
In the context of the overall province, certainly there are concerns that the GTA area is still a hotspot. There's lessening concerns based on evidence, at least health unit data, testing data, all of those things. but I'm still reluctant to support regional openings without the proper scientific data and the health professionals endorsing it and saying that it's okay for us to look at it on a regional approach. And to date, they're considering the pluses, the minuses. So it's an evolving, I guess, topic that we're going to have to listen to, and I hope that we listen to our health professionals that provide recommendations on this and don't make it into a political football, so to speak. As far as I'm concerned, it is a gray area because, everybody is still trying to get their hands or their arms around this this whole regionalization and opening up different parts. If we take a look south of the border where states are opening up versus other states that aren't opening up, cities opening up versus other cities aren't opening up, I think there's still a lot of discussion going on, and the numbers, we saw a jump in the numbers yesterday to over 400. So, I'm still kind of divided on this and don't know how this is going to work out, but I hope that we err on the side of caution when we do come forward with this, but certainly there is a need out there from an economic standpoint to get these businesses back open.
I mean, you have to be hearing from your constituency. What are they asking you?
They want to know whether we're getting opened or whether we're not getting opened, and I think that if the government's going to have to come out and say that we are going to consider this regionalized based on health data and especially the data that they have in front of them, and that we can do it safely with protocols, then I'll certainly jump on board.
This week, 2 local groups planned protests to support those protesting in the United States against racial inequality. And while those are going on, we also hear what's going on in the United States and in Canada. Maybe a different situation, but Canada isn't totally immune to racism. And North Bay Mayor Al MacDonald wants to make it abundantly clear it is unacceptable.
We need to speak out anytime we hear anyone making a racist comment or a racist post on social media. If you stay quiet, it really means that you are agreeing with it. So my recommendation is always to speak out, say it's inappropriate, ask them to take their remarks down. If someone states it in a sentence when you're out and about, it's up to all of us to say that's not appropriate. We ask you to withdraw the remarks. We all have to take a stance against racism, and we have to be vocal in our stance. I've always communicated in my 10 years as mayor that we're a welcoming and inclusive community to all, where everybody is dealt with respect and dignity. We've always spoken out anytime there's been racist comments. The latest one was the local actor that faced racist comments. But we will always take a stand as a city against racism. We do not stand for it. We hope our citizens speak out as well. But for us as a society, it's going to take everyone speaking loudly that racism has no place in our society.
I think one thing that stops people from saying something, there's a fear. There's a fear that this person who's being racist can get physically violent or verbally violent towards people. How do you kind of walk the fine line between correcting someone on their ignorant comments and not get into a fight?
It's a balance. We do not want violence of any kind, and that's what we're seeing in the States as well. But we can't stay quiet either. And if we stay quiet, that just means that we're part of the problem. You do have to be aware of your situation, Clark. I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way by any stretch of the imagination, but we all have to speak. So everybody has a voice. They got social media. They can post on their social media feeds that they stand against racism, and they'll defriend anybody that does.
Break that was arrived on Cogeco News. When we come back, we have an interview with a North Bay photojournalist who started as a volunteer here way back in 2002, and now he has a chance at a national award. That story after this. Welcome back, everybody. A good guy, familiar to many of us in this city, is up for something very good. A North Bay-based photojournalist is up for a national award in Francophone-based media. Former longtime Cogeco and Your TV volunteer Eric Boutillier is up against 3 other colleagues in the running for Best Photos of 2019. And his good friend Clark Heipel has that story.
I realized I saw my opportunity with the sun setting, with a few shadflies on the guardrail behind me, and I thought, well, you know, here's my chance.
That is Francophone photojournalist Eric Boutillier describing an evening in July of 2019 when he captured this incredible image. An image so crisp and so uniquely captured, it has Boutillier up for a national award. More often than not, shadflies are a nuisance. Millions upon millions of them litter the streets in the dead heat of summer, often leaving a dead fish-like smell hovering in the air. For Boutillier, this was a chance to change the perspective.
The problem with focusing on a lot of shadflies, it's not necessarily the most appealing sight. And I thought this would be an opportunity to present the shadfly in a much different light, in a much more elegant way. You know, with the sunset, with the sun setting in the background, with the shadfly reaching up towards the sun. Like I looked at the picture recently, and it reminds me sort of E.T. the Extraterrestrial with the bike, you know, flying over the moon or across the moon, and it gave me that sort of impression. You know, it's a life form. Reaching out, you know, just like the rest of us, you know, wanting to live its existence, and I thought this would be a much different way to present, you know, a North Bay, an event that happens in North Bay, in a much different light.
When you took the photo, did you think to yourself, this could potentially win an award?
Oh, not at all. I just thought I needed something. I needed a visual for my article.
And that visual for his article landed on the front page of the Northern Ontario weekly French publication Le Voyageur. The photo was noticed by his peers, and fast forward close to a year later, Boutillier is up for Photo of the Year, recognized by the Association de la Presse Francophone, with 3 other finalists. The award will be handed out on the evening of the 25th of this month during an online presentation. Meanwhile, what photo is Boutillier looking to capture next?
That's a very good question, Clark. I'd like to be able to capture an image or capture a moment that represents the area in a way that hasn't been captured before. I wouldn't be able to tell you where I would begin to do that, but that's definitely one of my aspirations in terms of my journalism and photography career.
You can keep tabs on Boutillier's hunt for the perfect picture. The weekly paper is released every Wednesday. Reporting for Cogeco News, I'm Clark Heipel.
Wondering what the tennis references will be in weather? Stay tuned. Clark Heipel will have that and uniquely named and located streets, part 802, right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Streets You Didn't Know Existed, Episode 5. Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here. I'll tell you where here is in just a moment. That's part of the fun. I am here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Overcast skies this Wednesday morning. We'll make way for clear skies in the afternoon and then a chance of a thunderstorm tonight. We'll get to the full weather picture in just a few moments. But right now it's time for Episode 5 of Streets You Didn't Know Existed. There are several visual cues and clues behind me. You can see the somewhat heavy traffic of the 1117 bypass behind me. You can see a mailbox or two. I've been here for about 10 minutes. A couple people have stopped to collect their mail. You see Castle Glass. That is the one business on a street nearby the street that I'm about to tell you what it is. And then as we circle around here, that's Frost. And I have a feeling that people on the Facebook video that I posted earlier today are going to think that the answer to this question is Frost. That would be incorrect because the street named Meehan connects with Frost at the corner. And Meehan here goes off of the 1117 bypass, only accessible from traffic heading northwest. So you exit on Meehan and that turns into Frost. So this is a little bit of a tricky one here. Streets You Didn't Know Existed, Episode 5, the correct answer being Meehan. Thank you to Trevor Holiday of Holiday Household Helpers for the big suggestion. Former bus driver, he knows his streets. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Heading overnight on this Wednesday night, the 3rd of June, low of 11. Likely will be humid into the evening as there is a chance of a thunderstorm. Winds moderate at 20 kilometers per hour. On Thursday, the 4th of June, the chance of thunderstorm dissipates. Sun and cloud throughout the day, high 25, humidex making it feel a little bit warmer. UV index high at 8, so wear your sunscreen. I recommend SPF 4000. Overnight Thursday night, low 14, chance of showers. Friday, the 5th of June, we're getting there, high 22, low 10, clouds, chance of rain. Saturday, the 6th of June, high 18, low 6, sun and cloud. And Sunday, take it literally, sunny skies, high 20, low 8, clear skies throughout that 24-hour period. Looking back on the almanac, Tuesday, we had a high of 15 and a low 10. The normals, 21 and 9 for the high and low this time of June.
That does it for your 5-day forecast and Episode 5 of Streets You Didn't Know Existed. If you have a suggestion for a location for Thursday's edition of Cogeco News, shoot us a message on Facebook. Stay tuned. Greg will be back with sports right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Well, Welcome back, everybody. North Bay Battalion active on day one of the reopened trade window in the Ontario Hockey League. As we told you yesterday, a talented Russian forward is coming here, a veteran defenseman going the other way. We asked Matsev Guskov about the new responsibilities he will be taking on in North Bay.
Really good about that. Growing up, I played in CSK, played in Team Russia, and I always was in a leadership group. So I always play power play, PK, all situations. So I kind of get used to it. I didn't have that much ice time in London, but I'm looking forward for more ice time in North Bay, and really happy about that.
We really felt that we're getting a lot of value, and for all the things that Matt Fay just described of himself, the two-way center, the responsibility. We've had lots of talks with Minnesota, and they see him as a centerman at the next level as well, and that's where we see him with us. And it's important to us. We also feel like there's a lot more of an untapped offensive potential with him. We saw locally in a guy like Luke Moncada, when given those opportunities, that you can really flourish as a player. And there's a really big mutual benefit between us and Matt Vey. He's coming here, and he's got some personal goals to sign an NHL contract. And for us, it's important that we're moving guys forward to the next level, and we're winning hockey games. And we feel like there's a mutual benefit that we can accomplish both those things, and that's our goal. And we're thrilled to have him, and to have elite players like Matt Vey excited to come to our program is a great thing for us.
Meanwhile, the Battalion have a lot of defensemen under contract, and that meant that one needed to be shipped away. Maybe there'll be more later. But for the time being, former first-round draft pick, 9th overall in 2018, local product Pacey Schluting is off to Saginaw.
We just really felt with drafting Ty Nelson and then signing a guy like Tanias Mathur, and that we had 9D that were under contract coming into next year. Pacey's a guy that's put in a lot of really hard minutes with our team. He's really grown as a person, and he's been a great person for our team and for our community. Obviously, being a hometown kid, there's tons of pressures that come with it. But really, what it gave Pacey an opportunity to grow as a person and as a player, and a team that really does value him. And it gives some of our younger players a little bit more opportunity to really cut their teeth in the league, and some guys that we really have a lot of time for.
So while the Battalion liked the changes they've made, the elephant in the room is this: will the season start on time for 2020-2021? The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League said they are shooting for an October 1st start date with a 68-game schedule, but nothing yet from the OHL.
It's still too early. I mean, we're ready for a lot of different things, and we're definitely hopeful. We want to play hockey, but we also understand that the world's in a pretty strange place right now, and we're just kind of waiting on the powers that be that point us in the direction that we should go.
Matt Vey looks and sounds like a very mature hockey player. Baseball, not back yet. May not ever get back, it seems, with players and owners still haggling over money, and the season hasn't even started yet, and haggling over the length of the season. Nevertheless, players trying to stay in shape, pending a return. More now from Blue Jays announcer, Mr. Siddall, who spoke with your TV's Robert Skuzlin.
Been a wonderful thing, and I see all kinds of kids, whether they're doing their tee work or soft toss out in the driveway or hitting wiffle balls. Whatever you can do, that's what you do, because you have to try to stay sharp. I remember even back in my playing days and when I was coming up in the minor leagues, spending my winters here in Windsor, I used to drape a blanket over a piece of wood or a cord in my garage and just fire balls into it to simulate that I was long tossing. So you're trying to continue to increase that workload, just as though you were in Florida outside throwing and getting your arm in shape for spring training. Same you can do with hitting. And I said wiffle balls are a wonderful thing, but there's nothing like the real thing. And right now, that's the case for everyone. You just can't get together and do those things. Hopefully things improve in the near future, but you do everything you can. And I see a lot of kids getting creative, and it's a wonderful thing, whether it's flipping to each other in the garage or on the road, whatever they can. What I've seen for the most part, they're doing it safely. They're social distancing and keeping their distance. Hopefully they can get a little closer soon.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts for the graduating seniors or those travel players that are looking to take the next step in their future, in their baseball futures?
No, sympathy. It's too bad for these young kids. I was there myself as a kid. I had kids come up through high school and play sports at the post-secondary level, and it's an exciting time and choosing where you might go, what schools might be interested if you are going to play collegiately somewhere. And to have this happen at this particular time, I'm already hearing from some U.S. colleges.
All right, we got out of that a little bit early because Clark just had to do this. He's relentless. Hit the graphic. Earl. All right. Yes, we're playing again. Thanks for letting people know. Oh boy. That's it for news, weather, and sports. And if I win, it's leading the news tomorrow. If I lose, we're not mentioning it. See you tomorrow on Cogeco News.